All right, welcome back. The leader of the Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre, is commenting in Ottawa right now, talking a little bit about this massive injection of new money for the Canadian military being announced today by Prime Minister Mark Carney, more than $9 billion in new money to get Canada finally at that 2% of GDP that NATO requires to be a member of the alliance. Of course, it's taken Canada a long time. Let's see what Pierre Poilievre has to say.
Pour les troupes et non pas pour la bureaucratie, ni le gaspillage sur des mauvais contrats ou l'incompétence dans l'achat et la construction de l'équipement. Nous voulons que ça arrive le tôt que possible.
We would like this to happen as soon as possible.
Nous appuyons l'argent
That is why we support the additional money that the government is proposing. And we would like the government to introduce a budget before the end of summer so that we can see how this is integrated into our country's financial plan. We are here for the military. The Conservatives want a stronger military, and we want soldiers who are better equipped and better paid. Lodging built so that it is affordable. Affordable for the courageous soldiers who protect our country. And for all of that, a financial plan is needed. So once again, we call on the government to introduce in the House a budget between now and Canada Day. The government intends to spend 2% of its GDP on defense for this year. But in almost a quarter of this year has already passed, and we have no budget to know how much will be spent, nor how big our deficit will be. We also want the government to cut bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, and corporate BS in order to reduce the deficit and avoid adding further burden on the backs of taxpayers and consumers. The government has caused exorbitant inflation on housing and groceries, and the way to reverse that is to eliminate the Liberal deficit. How will we be able to spend more on the military by bringing government costs down? We need to find savings elsewhere. The government is exorbitant and morbidly obese, and we need to cut that, and that will take a budget that includes new discipline, and we call on that. We call on the protection of our country, respect for our soldiers, and at the same time for our taxpayers. We Conservatives will be there to work with all the other parties in order to accomplish those goals. Thank you
very much, everyone. Conservatives support rebuilding our military. After another lost decade of Liberal cuts, mismanagement, and back office bureaucracy, of boondoggles, and wasted money on bungled projects, our military has never been weaker. Now more than ever, we need a strong military that will reassert our sovereignty in the north, take back control of our Arctic waters. We need at least one, but probably two Arctic bases. We need fighter jets, Poseidon aircraft. We need 4 and not 2 icebreakers to bust up the ice and reassert that we are properly the ones that lay claim over our Arctic waters. We also need to fill the massive number of vacancies that have built up in our military after the last decade by increasing the dollars available to recruit and focusing the military on a warrior culture that actually inspires people to want to join again. All of this is going to take money, and that's why we support getting back to the 2% target as soon as possible. And we will support additional money for our military. That's why we're calling on the government to bring in a budget, because all of this will require a budget that not only puts this money forward, clearly identifies where it comes from, but cuts waste in bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, corporate welfare, and other areas so that the necessary increase in the military does not come as an inflationary burden on the backs of our Canadian taxpayers who've been suffering for far too long. As always, we stand ready to work with all parties to put Canada first, to defend our country, and most important of all, to honor the brave men and women in uniform, the soldiers, sailors, and airmen who make up our forces and protect our sovereignty. We will always put them first, and we will work with anybody in any party to make that happen. Thank you very much.
You said you support this. Will you be supporting the supplementary estimates that include this $9 billion extra dollars?
Well, we have to see the supplementary estimates. What we've seen is the mains. We have, sorry?
I believe they were tabled.
Oh, they were tabled this morning. Okay, I haven't seen them yet. So that part is true. So we were both right. I'll have to take a look at the subs and see what's in there. And was there anything else in there? Or is it just this?
There's definitely other things in it, I'm sure. Okay. I haven't had a chance to parse through beyond the...
We're going to have to go to the library, the two of us, and go through the subs, I guess. Eh?
On another topic then, pipelines. I'm wondering, what would you do if there's a situation where Alberta and BC, for example, are butting heads about a project? Do you think, like Mark Carney, there needs to be consensus to go forward with these big nation-building projects?
No, we've got to get it done. We need a pipe. At the end of the day, if you wait till everybody agrees on everything, nothing will happen. You're never going to get everybody to agree on every single project. And bottom line is we're giving 90% of our oil and 100% of our gas to the Americans at enormous price discounts. This is costing us tens of billions of dollars every single year to the exclusive benefit of American refineries and commodity traders who are able to take our product, bid up the price by $15 and sell it on the world stage, and do that literally about 1 billion times a year. And that is insane. So we can't wait any longer. We have to get things done. And it's going to take some backbone. And so we as Conservatives believe in pushing ahead with pipelines, and the shortest route is to the Pacific. You know, any other route is going to be even harder politically and physically. So we need a pipeline to the Pacific, and if the Prime Minister says he's going to wait till everyone agrees, then nothing will get done, which is what has been happening for the last decade.
To go back to defense spending.
We'll go to Stephanie, and then we'll go French.
Okay, yeah. Just to go back to defense spending, you talked about the need to get to 2%, but the global conversation now seems to be moving towards 5%. So do you support that, and do you see a realistic way that Canada could get there?
I haven't seen anyone hit 5%. Maybe I'm missing something. Has anyone hit 5% yet? Who's at 5?
Not yet.
No one.
Yeah, Poland is getting about 4%.
Poland's up to 4, but I haven't seen any country hit 5. I think the Americans are 3.6 right now.
Yeah, 3.4.
3.4. This is my human encyclopedia here. You know, what I also think we need to remember is let's focus on what we get done with the money we spend. It shouldn't simply be a question of the dollar figure. You know, if the government has another 10 big boondoggles like they did on the F-35 by canceling and then rebuying it, they would be able to get up to 3 or 4% without increasing any of our capabilities. I want us to focus on our capabilities. Yes, we'll hit the 2%, and then we can discuss how much higher to go after that. But the focus of NATO and our country has to be what extra defense capabilities are we able to add, and how can we be the strongest possible military with the most affordable price tag to the taxpayer at the same time.
Pour atteindre le 2%, il y a 9 milliards de dollars de nouvelles dépenses.
There's new
14 milliards
de
dépenses qui existent déjà, qu'on prend ailleurs, puis là tout d'un coup ça va être affecté à notre montant à l'OTAN. J'aimerais savoir ce que vous pensez de ça. Est-ce que vous pensez que c'est du budget créatif?
What do you think about that? Do you think that's creative accounting? Or are other countries doing that? What do you think? The Prime Minister has said that it is not creative accounting, if I'm saying that correctly in French. He said it's not creative accounting. I'm eager to see the numbers. I would like to see what will be included in the 2% in order to bring up the acknowledged percentage. Obviously, we need to follow rules, but at the same time, if we have spending that is truly related to international security and national security, then it should be included in the 2%.
The question was about reprofiling. Do you have any comments on that? The reprofiling of existing expenses.
Sure. So we know that since 2017 that there's been a complete recalculation and creative accounting, I call it, that's been taking place, but it's allowed under NATO rules and has been for the last several years, which allows things like veterans pensions, some government of Canada, Global Affairs Canada, monies that deal with conflict resolution.
We're listening to Leader of the Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre, and James Bazan there as well, just commenting on big announcement today by the Carney government that it will increase spending on Canada's military this year by about $9 billion to get Canada finally to that 2% target of a NATO member country of 2% of our GDP. Canada has long been a laggard. The last time we spent 2% was back during the Cold War, 1988, 1989. And here we are almost 40 years later, and Canada is finally going to hit that 2%. We should point out that NATO is about to announce a new target, more than 2%. We'll see how that plays out. But in the here and now, this is a lot more money for the Canadian military. The Conservatives are saying, look, you got to be careful how you spend this sort of stuff. It cannot be on more bureaucracy, more red tape. It's got to be on actually operational things. The Conservatives are saying they will, of course, support any new spending on the Canadian military. We are hearing that a bill has been tabled today to this effect, so this won't have to wait months until there's a budget or in the fall or case may be. In fact, this bill has now been put forward in the House today, and the government is hoping to pass it by the end of the month. It would seem that there is Conservative support for this, and we also know that there will be a big NATO summit at the end of this month.